Cool, so we're gonna just get started with this because I know everyone probably just wants to get out of here and get home. So the topic for tonight is gonna be, what is parent training? So just a little bit about myself first. My name's Missy. I'm one of the BCBAs over at our Palm Bay Puzzle Box location. I got my master's over at FSU back in 2016, and then I've been a BCBA since August 2016. And when I was in Tallahassee at FSU, I was doing, the place I worked at, we did community, so I have plenty of experience in-home doing the parent training. When I moved here last August 2018, I started with our in-home program, so did more with the parent training with that too, and then this past August, I went over to the PBA location. Just some of the objectives of what we'll be talking about today. So it's gonna be insurance requirements. So why do they want to see parent training? Why do we have to do it? So kind of where to find it in the BSP, and that's that big long document that we have you guys sign every 6 months. Kind of what parent training can involve, where it can take place, some helpful tips for parent training, and just to kind of help you guys set up for success. Always have to talk about my ethics. So kind of ethics for in-home and parent training sessions. I have some examples and stimuli of some data sheets, some things that you guys might see at parent training sessions, some data sheets your BCBA may give you to fill out at home and then bring back. I will have opportunities to ask questions throughout, just to kind of remind myself to give you guys a chance to ask questions, but definitely feel free if you have questions about anything, just raise your hand at any point and that'll be fine. And then also you guys have those little papers that have the questions on them. So those will come out, but 3 and 4, once I made it, I decided to switch the order of things, so 4 will come before 3. But yeah, so we can just get started. So 4 insurance requirements. I took this from various insurance websites. So basically why insurances want to see this is because all the research shows that the more we get parents involved, the more on board you guys are with what we're doing, the better the results, the more effective it is, the better it generalizes. So say we have a kiddo who at school, we tell him to brush his teeth, he goes, get the toothbrush, get the toothbrush, brushes his teeth perfectly, and then at home, you tell him to brush his teeth and they fall to the floor tantruming. So with the parent training, getting you guys on board, doing the same principles and protocols that we do, it helps. And another thing is, with you guys giving us input on kind of what you want to work on, we can add those goals to our BSP. So that way we're all on the same page, we all have the same goals. Because if we have one goal and you guys have a separate goal, that's essentially teaching our kiddos 2 different things. We all want to be on the same page, on the same team. And so some more insurance requirements are going to be, so those behavior intervention plans. That's going to be those behavior reduction protocols. So if your child engages in behaviors following a demand, following being denied access, during a low period of attention, kind of what to do. So we obviously have the things that we do when we're working one-on-one, if it's at one of the PBA locations here at Kaleidoscope. So the more we can get you guys involved, the better it is. And as time has gone on, insurance companies, they want to see that parent training happening. Like I said previously, they know that the more we get you guys involved, the better everything goes. And so when we do these 6 months, I can actually just go to show this quick. So when we do these 6-month BSP that we resubmit, that's how we get the hours so that we can provide the ABA service, so that way you guys don't have to pay out of pocket, because that would just be way too much. Oops. Let me do it on my laptop. So this is a section of the BSP that you'd see that parent training goals. Insurances want to see this. So this is just an example I pulled from one of the ones I've done recently. And previously, insurances, they would be happy with just saying like, hey, we met with the parent once a month. That's the parent training. As time goes on, they want to see more parent involvement. So like how the rest of the BSP, we have all these skill acquisition goals, all these target problem behavior goals. They want to start to see specific parent training goals. So that could include like complying with demands, them responding to you guys, or it could be the flip side, kind of if you guys place a demand, do you follow through with it? If you deny access, do you make sure that they don't get that item and follow through with it that way? So there's a lot of different ways that this parent training, that goals could show up. But definitely expect to see as time goes on, insurances are making it more of a requirement. They want that more involvement. And as we know, it's all dictated by the insurance companies, which is always fun. And so this leads me to my first question. So what is one reason insurance companies require parent training?
Parent involvement.
There you go. Thank you. And does anyone have any questions about any insurance policies? It does differ insurance to insurance. Like I know, for example, Medicaid's a lot more stringent on it versus like Blue Cross, Blue Shield, or UHC, that they tend to be more lenient with such things. Does anyone have any questions? Cool. Cool, so this next one is, what can the parent and family training look like? So it could be, as I said previously, that compliance with those parent-placed demands. So if you tell your child, okay, time to clean up the toys, do they or do they not clean up their toys? And also it could be that promoting independence with chores, daily living, self-care. So that could be as far as if you want them to be able to clean up after themselves. If they finish eating a meal, do they pick up their plate, take it to the trash can, put it in the sink? Some self-care skills would be that dressing themselves, brushing teeth, brushing hair, bathing, all that fun stuff. Also, we can do some setting up schedules for morning and nighttime routines, because we know a lot of our kiddos, they have issues sometimes in the morning or at nighttime with getting ready, going through that routine. So something that's definitely helpful is getting a set schedule up, so that way they kind of know the expectation, you know the expectation, you just drill it time and time again until they get it. And then we have that appropriate responding, so that's going to be either if they can respond verbally to you guys, if they use signs, if they use PECs, if they use an communication device, just to get that responding going. And another one is appropriate interactions with siblings, because oftentimes our clients may not have the best relationship with their siblings, which all siblings don't get along all the time. No one does. But especially with our population, it can be hard, especially if a kiddo tends to be more hands-on. Other siblings may get jealous, or they might understand, well, you told me that I have to sit at the table and eat my whole meal, but Joey gets to jump around and eat how he wants to eat. It can be hard for siblings to understand. So that's something that parent-family training can definitely involve to help with that. Another one is transitions between locations and activities. We know definitely our kiddos, when you tell them, hey, it's time to get off the iPad and go sit down and do some homework, might not be too happy with you when you tell them to do that. Or if it's time to, if you're going on a vacation, you have to be in the car a long time and travel. It's not pleasant for anyone, especially our kiddos, hit or miss. And also appropriate behaviors in various community settings. The cool thing about the parent-family training, if we do go in-home, is that we can go to a lot of different places. So if your kiddo, say, you try and go to Publix and they constantly are touching everything, they see a bag of chips, they just open it without even asking, and they're just kind of stuck, because like, oh, well, they open it, now you have to pay for it. So that's always something that we can work on as well. So that's just some things that parent training could look like that it could entail. And so what to expect during a parent training? So this is kind of like initially some things that you'd want to go over. So definitely going over engagement and problem behaviors. So that includes like the non-compliance, the tantrum, aggression, property destruction, pica, mouthing, all that fun stuff. Then also going over the appropriate things they did, like if they independently dressed in the morning, they cleaned up their toys without protesting, if they independently greeted you when they got home, those type of things. So we always want to know the good and the bad. So that we can see what we're working on at school, at the clinic, if it transfers into the home, which is always the goal. And then also with these parent training sessions, you want to go over the focus of what the current session is going to be. If it's going to be on, hey, mom and dad, you're placing demands on this kiddo nonstop, I'll make sure they follow through with it. Or it's like, hey, they're going to ask you for stuff, tell them no to everything, so that we can work on them accepting that denied access. And then also establishing who will be placing the demand, so parent or BCBA, that'll be stuff we would go over. Establishing who's going to implement those behavior reduction protocols. So let's say you place a demand, they tantrum, who's going to be the one to step in? Is it going to be the BCBA or the other ABA therapist there? Or is that going to be when we're faded back, we want you as the parent to kind of implement that, so that way we can see how you guys do things, if it works, and kind of go over stuff like that. Then another thing is going to be who would be the one prompting your child through the tasks. And typically the way we do this is that we'll be the ones prompting initially. So we'll have you place a demand, and then we make sure that the kiddo follows through. Once we see that they follow through at home, then we transfer that stimulus control to you guys. So that would be you place the demand, and then you do the prompting to follow through, so that way your child gets used to complying to your demands and not just our demands all the time. Then also who's going to be collecting the data. Because as you guys probably have heard numerous times, everything we do is driven by data. We love to see the data, we look at the graphs, ideally weekly, sometimes bi-weekly if we just get busy and caught up with things. But yeah, the data rules everything. So definitely a big part of parent training is training you guys on how to collect data to make sure we're both taking the same way, we're all on the same page. We classify a tantrum as this, a protest as this, and all of that. Some important topics to discuss with your BCBA at these parent trainings. So that's going to be any behavior issues at home, at friends' houses, across settings. Because a lot of our kiddos, dentist and doctor's appointments can be a struggle. Which I know as a kid, I hated going to the dentist. I would try and get out of it any way possible. Especially with some of our kiddos, they can be a lot more creative with their ways of getting out of doing things. Haircuts, it can be scary. You have someone coming at you with some scissors or the little razor. There's all these sounds. It feels weird. You have the hair falling on you. It's not always the most comfortable. Like they're pulling your head all these different ways. So that tends to lead to a lot of inappropriate behaviors. Some other things could be that grocery shopping, like I said previously, just shopping for clothes at the park, in the car. If they happen to be involved in sports, how do they do at practice? Or if you have other children and they have to go and sit through a 2-hour-long baseball game. Have fun. It can be rough. And so some other things to discuss. So all those behaviors, that way we can target those programs. We know what to focus on. We can prioritize. So some other things would be things that you would like your child to do independently. So that could be any of those self-care type skills that we talked about before, the daily living tasks, and essentially that. And then also what your expectations are. If you expect that your child should be able to do all this stuff by yourself, or if you expect that, hey, you know what, I'm probably going to have to always prompt them to do these things. Just kind of what your expectations are, so that way we're on the same page. Then also what your typical daily schedule is at home. So that way we can make our programs fit into your guys' schedules instead of going in and being like, oh, we're changing your whole life around. And so another thing with the parent training is any behavior management procedures you guys use. So whether that's time out, if it's removing of a preferred item, if it's the reprimands, talking through the problems, using their coping skills. So that way we can see if you guys have tried, let's say, timeouts at home before, then we know if it doesn't work, we don't have to waste our time with doing that. Or we can see your way if maybe we have different ideas of what times out means. So that's always something to discuss. And then also what your child likes at home. So that way we can use things within their natural environment to help motivate them, to reinforce them for these appropriate behaviors. Have any questions so far? Cool. So that's going to lead us into the second question, that is, where can parent training sessions take place? Anywhere. Correct. Literally just about anywhere. Cool, and I just want to throw in this quick little side about some ethics policies for in-home. So it can be weird because you have someone coming into your home. It typically, depending, it might be on the weekend. It could be during the day if no one has work or school going on. Or it could be that we come in like 5 to 7 at night. You're just getting home from work, trying to get dinner ready, getting your other kids ready, get ready for the next day. Just kind of some things of how we do it. So one thing is going to be, I kind of jumped ahead of myself. So we can accept gifts of monetary value, which includes food. So if you guys say we're doing a parent training session at home, we're working on appropriate mealtime behavior, do not feel obligated to make us food. We'll bring our own. Don't worry about it. And then like if we're working on going out into the community, we will not be the ones driving your child for obvious reasons. But it can always be that we just meet at these community locations. So we establish, hey, 5:30 this day, we're going to meet at Publix. You're going to go grocery shopping. I'll be there tagging along. We're going to work through these behaviors. Or if your child doesn't have issues riding in the car, whether it's just kind of staying in their seat, keeping hands to themselves, not kicking the back of your seat, not trying to throw things, we could always ride along in the car with you guys to help work on those behaviors. Oops. Oh yeah, so now I'm getting into some helpful tips that I know have been really helpful for some in-home stuff that I've done before. So main thing that we love to do is that pre-MAC principle, which I'm not sure if you guys have heard of that before, but essentially it just boils down to the whole first, then. So first you need to pick up your dish and put it in the sink, then you can get on the iPad. And just establishing those contingencies to stop the expectation that first you do this and then you get what you want. It works magic. Another one is don't place demands if you're unable to follow through with them, which this is a tricky one. So let's say, and this kind of gets into the next one too with the pick and choose your battles. So let's say it's a day that you've worked a 9-hour day, you get home, it's 5:30 at night, You have to make dinner. You have to get all the kids' lunches ready for the next day. You have to take your dog outside. You have to clean the house. You need to go grocery shopping. That might not be the best time to place a demand that you know is going to elicit the behavior. That would be one of those pick and choose your battles. Just kind of let it go. Versus if you're on the weekend, you've had your cup of coffee, you feel energized, you have 5 hours that nothing's planned, then would be a good idea to kind of place those demands that you know would elicit those behaviors, so that way you can follow through with it effectively, follow that behavior reduction protocol, and not give in. And so with this, we have the Thanksgiving vacation coming up next week, which with some kiddos, it's a struggle because that's a massive change in routine. They're used to going to school every day, Monday through Friday, and now all of a sudden you're going Monday and Tuesday. Schedule at school will be a little bit different because of the vacation, and now you're home Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You have family coming over. You might be going to a family member's house. Things change. It's different. So really having making that as structured as possible helps with the visual schedules, which I'll be showing examples of that later on. Kind of just planning out the day. Another thing is to provide choices as much as you can. Because oftentimes with our kiddos, it's us placing demands on them all day long. Now it's time to go to class. Now you need to sit down. Now you need to do work. Now you need to attend. Now it's time to go to lunch. Now you need to sit down, keep hands to yourself, eat this, then that. So giving choice is very important. Even just the simple thing of, what do you want to do first? Do you want to sweep first, or do you want to wipe down the table first? Just giving them that little bit of choice, it gives them a sense of control, which we all like control. Especially a lot of our population, they really like to have control. So trying to give that as much as possible helps to antecedently prevent those behaviors from occurring. Then, like I said, visual schedule is always helpful. It keeps everyone on track. It gives you something to see. Then also managing your expectations. So if you know that your kiddo typically struggles when it's time to get off that iPad, then your expectation might be that, hey, one day when I tell them to get off the iPad, they only tantrum for 1 minute versus 30 minutes, instead of assuming that they would just magically one day, okay, I'm all done with the iPad, and put it away on their own and then not want it again. So really keep those expectations manageable, but also to have those expectations. We do expect that they will, when you tell them to get off the iPad, they get off the iPad within a reasonable amount of time without engaging in too many of those behaviors. I'm flying through this right now. So does anyone have any questions about that? I know I do tend to talk a little fast. So then my next question, so this is actually question 4 on the paper. So what is one way you can help to prevent problem behaviors and or build stimulus control compliance with your child? Yep, choices. We love choices. So I realized too, the stimulus control, that might be a term that you guys may or may not have heard before, but stimulus control is essentially when we place a demand, we make sure that we follow through with it. So if we say, okay, it's time to sit down and do work, we make sure that the kiddo sits down, does the work, and then they get to do something else. And that's how we build stimulus control, and it shows by when we place a demand, the quicker they follow through, the more compliant they are with our demands. We like to say the better stimulus control we have. And something that helps that too is that when we place a demand, it is our job to be there to make sure that we follow through with it. Versus at home, like I said previously, you have so many other things going on that it's not feasible that you can follow through with every demand placed. And also, you guys know your kids their entire lives. We know them for that short period of time that we happen to be working with them. So let's say your kiddo's 10 years old. They have 10 years of learning history of that you place a demand, sometimes you follow through with it and they have to do it, but then other times it's like, oh, your sister dropped a plate and they have to go and clean that up. So they got out of that demand. So it's always to kind of keep in mind is that we, as the ABA therapists, may have some better stimulus control at first, but then when we get into home, we do those parent training sessions, it's our goal to transfer the stimulus control we have over to you guys to help things out at home and in the community go even better. So some different data collection methods that you can see, we have that ABC, so that's going to be antecedent, behavior, consequence that we like to look at. So kind of what happens before the behavior, what is the behavior, and then what happens after the behavior occurs. Do they get out of the demand? Do you follow through with the demand? Do they get the item? Do they not get the item? Do they get attention? Do they not get attention? Also some compliance data, which that could be as much as just a simple little plus minus, do they do what I say to do within 5 seconds, yes or no? Also some routines, which I'll have some examples of that coming up in a little bit. And then chore completion, that might be something else that we kind of look at, might be a checklist, that plus minus, all of that. And also some self-care task analysis, which I have examples of that coming up as well. So here's an example of a token economy. Have you guys heard of token economies before? Okay, so these are something we use with a lot of our kiddos. They work magic. So this is just an example for one of the younger kiddos. And so we would establish what they're earning. So it could be a snack, it could be going outside, it could be time on the computer, it could be something that they really like a puzzle or a preferred toy item, maybe just going on a walk and getting out of the classroom. And so we like to teach our kiddos to kind of show them like, hey, this is what you're working for, this is what you want, to motivate them to do those non-preferred tasks. And so token economies, we use them a lot at school. I know at PBA a lot of our kiddos have them. I'm assuming at the other locations as well. So this could be something too that you guys would use at home to kind of set the expectation that first you do these 4 things and then you get what you want. Because those visual schedules, having that visual reminder helps the kiddos to stay motivated, remind them of what they're working for and why they're doing the things that they don't want to do. Just here's another example of token economy. The Excel kind of looked weird on it. But this would be kind of for an older kiddo who we don't want like all the funny little faces and stuff like that, and could just be as basic as this, that you write in the word iPad, give them like 4 little smiley faces, stars, hearts, whatever they want. Once they get it, they know that they've earned the iPad. Then here's an example of a chore task analysis. So that's going to be, so this example I have is sweeping the floor. So the task analysis kind of breaks down the whole task of sweeping the floor into some steps. So like step 1, clear objects off the floor, get the broom and dustpan, sweep the dirt into a pile, blah, 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 and all of that. And so these are things that we use a lot in the clinic, at the school. And so these could be something too that if we like are working on sweeping at the clinic, then we can give you guys a copy of our task analysis, maybe meet a couple times a week, couple times a month, train you guys how to do it, show you how we do it, maybe even take some videos, let you guys take it into home to help them learn how to do these chores and stuff at home that they do for us at school. Also having like a visual schedule. So this is just an example of maybe an after school routine. So having that visual schedule up, like I said previously, kind of keeps everyone on track. It reminds everyone of what to do, what the next step is going to be. It's fun to go and like do a little check off. Everyone loves checking stuff off. So this is just another example of something that you could have set up in your home environment that we could help you to establish, teach you guys how to do, so that way we all are on the same page and to help make your lives easier at home instead of harder. That's the goal at least. Oh, there we go. Then here's an example of maybe a self-care task analysis. So this one is going to be specific for bathing. So maybe if, say you're meeting with your BCBA and then you mention that, hey, it's a struggle every day to get this kid to take a bath. They fight the whole time. I have to be in there. Essentially, I have to hand over hand do it for them. So maybe an instance that we give you guys something like this. And we say, hey, the next time you take a bath, just give us a little plus or minus on each step if they do or do not do it on their own. And that will kind of show us where to begin, what to do, and how we can help with that one. Then here's an example of that ABC data sheet that I was talking about before. So that could be, so we have those antecedents. So that would be what happened before the behavior occurred. Was it a demand? Was it they were denied access to something? Was it low period of attention? Was it that their sibling had their favorite toy and they wanted it? Then we just have you guys kind of mark whatever the behavior was, which you have those listed up there. Any extra description, if there's anything extra to add. Consequence. So was it escape from the demand? Did the siblings ignore them? Did the parents ignore them? Or did they get attention from the parents? They got attention from their siblings? Did they get access to what they wanted? Or did the item that they wanted get taken away? Or was it something else? And so all this information, we take it, it gives us data, kind of helps us better target these things. So this is question 4. It's going to be name one example of a type of data sheet, data collection that a BCBA might ask you to collect. Yep. Yeah, all of those things pretty much. And does anyone have any questions so far? Cool, let me just check how I'm doing on time. Oh yeah, I flew through this a lot quicker than I planned on. So I did just want to give you guys a reminder that there is a PTO meeting tomorrow night at the Palm Bay location, 6 to 7 o'clock, that we definitely like you guys to attend to take part in. And yeah, does anyone have any questions about anything? Maybe setting up meetings, issues at home, anything like that?
What's the meeting about tomorrow?
I'm not sure exactly what the meeting's going to be about. I just know that I know Dr. Frame's going to be there, so she's going to be talking a lot about some changes with that. But yeah. Yeah.
The PTO is, we're basically trying to drive a lot more parent engagement and a lot of things that you get, your typical kind of school experience. Part of the reason we have PTA is we want to make sure our parents are able to have an experience that is, like everybody else's. That's why we have the holiday performance. That's why we're doing this PTO. Kids are kids. So they need a little bit of help here and there, no problem. We want to make sure you guys have that parent-teacher organization so you can have that other next part. We've had some wonderful folks step up to form the board, and they're going to help make sure that there are some actions taken as far as moving forward, make things a little easier for you guys as members of PTO. But going to the PTO will give you guys a chance to be involved as parents, give you a chance to see, maybe we're doing a fundraiser you could help in, maybe we're doing something that's, a float or whatever. Something that you guys can get involved in your kid's life at school, just like you are at home. Can be a fun thing for you guys to do. So if anyone is able to come, we'd love to have you out there tomorrow at our Palm Bay location from 6 to 7. That's right there.
Cool. Yeah, that's done my presentation. I talked a lot faster than I planned on. So I hope you guys got all that. And if you'd like a copy of the slideshow, because I know I had a lot of information in there, if you could I can leave a piece of paper, write down your guys' emails, and I can email it to you. So yeah, thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Man, I was planning on that being an hour. I talked way too fast. I always do that, though.
That's really
I'm sure people don't mind getting out a little bit early.